Once they're all in, just a light tapping will get them to seat well. When you take off the door panel, do not mess with pulling up on this handle. Replacing a mirror is very cut and dry on a 2013 GMC Acadia, except for one thing: the door panel falls apart. You have the notorious clips that GM, General Motors, has been using for some time. They look like this, and when they come undone, you better hope that the owner's nowhere near, because they sound like the world just broke in half. They sound terrible, and oftentimes on older ones they just snap off. Long story short, this one snapped off completely. This whole sub-assembly, sub-bracket, just completely fell apart. All the little melt pins just snapped. Instead of this one coming out, all of these 3 pins just failed. So I used screws, little self-tapping, really short screws to hold that in place, get it back in shape. You have 2 screws that hold the handle on. That's what you need to know. And you have another screw that is inside the door pull. So once you pull those 3 screws, you just have a perimeter of these terrible things. Now if you have body panel pliers, you can get them to pull out this way, but by the time you pull enough to be able to see, you're going to have one popped or broken or whatever anyway. Unfortunately, one of the first ones that's going to go is going to be this one on this side or on this side. Now this isn't connected very well because it's connected by that same melt plastic nonsense. So this part of the door panel that you see here is likely to break or fail. Or you can have this one break and fail. This is a better one to have break and fail because you can put screws in it at least. You can start lower on these, maybe through here. This is probably your best bet. This is toward the back of the door underneath. I'd start here, do the push panel knives with that, and then use a body panel knife. I'll leave a link in the description for the plastic pry bars or body panel knives, as well as the push pin pliers. If you have these, it makes the job much easier. To remove the mirror, you just pull out the nuts. You have one hidden behind a little rubber grommet here. And then you got this one. Don't pull it all the way off, just get it close. That might be too far. And then you unplug it from here. Were it not for this plug, you could access all of this just about through just the top. There's one more clip that you have to get through, and it's this one here, this little vertical one. You got an expanding metal clip that you got to pull out with your plastic pry bar. So once you've pulled these, you can just set them aside. Typically pretty clean. You are going to have to use your push pin pliers, the triple P thread. They work just like that. They're wonderful. And you got a little rubber grommet. Once you pull this off, you're set. The door open. I'll have a hand under here. I'll push this through, and the mirror's free, just like that. So then you just take the new one that's not smashed in and get the dust off of it. And we'll just support it and run the cord through. You want to watch your bolts as they come in so that you don't scratch anything up too terribly. They're going to make a little noise going through. You just pull on the wire assembly in a circular motion and get it to seat, and then put your nuts on. I always put the top one on first. Do not over tighten the nuts. It's just not necessary. Clip in your harness, plug in your wire. If it doesn't work, turn it over 180 degrees, rotate it till it does line up. Pull the rubber back and get your third nut in. Usually do this one last because you don't want to be juggling the mirror and be focused here and have it fall. That's about all there is to it. Then we just put the panel back on. There's one more thing I didn't mention, and that is the cable. They got the Volkswagen style. So you click it into the handle first. There's just a little slot for it and the cable. You just push it in. So you drop it into the hole, rotate it, get the cable through the slot, and then push in and it's in. There's a green plug and a gray plug. Can't miss them, they're really brightly colored and they're right in your face. Watch your speaker that you don't stab it with those bobby pin panel fasteners. We address the door lock handle. At the same time we're going down on that, we get the window sweep going. Just get that up nice and snug. It'll slide up the ramp of the plastic and then sit down in. Once you do that, then this will click in and you'll know that you got the elevation right. Then you just start the process of lining up all your little pins. Let them sit into their hole. They rattle on the panel side. You gotta line them up. If you go to whack them in and they're not lined up, then you're gonna break them off and you'll have a rattle. So once they're all in, just a light tapping will get them to seat well. When you take off the door panel, do not mess with pulling up on this handle, or if you own the car, to never pull up on this. You will regret it. We're going to take a Torx driver and our 3 Torx bolts, which are all T30. We're going to put one through the door handle and a couple through the other door handle. Wait a minute, how many door handles do you have on the inside? Well, you have the pull, the door pull. That takes 1. And then the closing handle takes 2. It takes 2, baby, me and you. Screws them all in by hand. You don't tighten it all the way till all of them are in. And there's panels that cover these, beauty panels as they're called, for the door handle. And it's got a little access for a screwdriver to get in. Use the smallest flathead you have. You can see that it just clips in. The plastic clips that you see there, it's oriented this way in the handle. And then the one in the door pull, it looks like this. You can see the access is in the top of it, and it just looks like that. So the bottom of it is clipped in, and then the pull side has those little spring-loaded clips. T30, and just be careful. This is not a well-made door panel. This is not a BMW. It will snap and break and fall apart on you if you're not very careful. And even if you are very careful, it will still snap and break and fall apart on you. Just clip that beauty panel in. So you put the bottom of this one in first, and then get the spring part to follow. Just whatever it takes to get it in. And it sounds terrible. These ones you've really got to push the spring down hard. I want to say that I've got it in upside down. The fit is so terrible, but I don't. It is the way that it goes. It would just totally, and it doesn't hold very well either. Isn't that something? Well, let's try the mirror and see how it works, shall we? Set left side control, pan left, pan right, up and down. Awesome. There's Jake. There's the arch we're about to rappel down. It's like valet parking or whatever. You just ride down the rope and then send it back up. When you go first, you don't have to pull the rope up. Was that cool?
Is he getting your belt on?
Yep, he's gonna put it on. That's a special belt. It's called a harness.
Harness?
Harness.
What's a harness?
Harness is a special belt for climbing and rappelling. How far away are you from the edge?
About 3 feet.
Look at that. It's crazy.
Oh, by the way, this is the free hanging one. That's a special kind of feeling. You're not holding it, are you? Woo! Woo! Don't fall the road!